I want to understand what is this human intelligence architect?
Names change, but the mission is still the same. Humans, as humans, we have 3 brains. So when your 3 brains get aligned, what happens is your power of human intelligence gets activated.
Right.
How many times we have been seated on something, doing something, for example, and then suddenly you say, oh, I feel something that I shouldn't be doing that. And what gets activated here is your gut, right? So the gut has a brain in your body.
The field which you have chosen is intellectually very heavy. It's psychology and then neuroscience, leadership behavior. Everything is involved in it.
The last pillar is T for truth or trust, right? Today, you can never do business without trust. But what triggers trust is truth.
True.
Okay, so they both feed into each other. And that's how, we circle today to the power of a psychologically safe environment in the business.
So nowadays, a lot of changes are happening in the surroundings.
Yes.
And AI is the new boom. Everyone is talking about it, using it. It is now one of the integral part of your life.
It's the N.
Yes. So do you think that AI is actually making leaders smarter or exposing how emotionally vulnerable they are?
Yes, we will be working with AI all the time. And will it expose us emotionally? Yes, it will. And everything is reported. So they're also collecting data on you.
True. Yeah, that's right.
So whether you are
So we are
happy
giving all the information to them.
for free.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for showing all the love and support to our channel and the people those who are coming on this podcast. I know that you all are loving the stories, the inspiration they are bringing and the motivation they are sharing with you all. If you want us to bring such special guest on our channel every time, please support us to follow our channel and subscribe the YouTube channel as well. So today we have someone very special with us. She is not only going to talk about the human aspect in the corporate world, but again, along with that, there are certain other things which are still hidden inside that. So let's all welcome Dr. Ghenwa Habbal.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Priyanka, for hosting me.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we proceed, Doctor, I want to understand that before becoming a human intelligence architect and shaping leaders, I mean, it's a big word, right?
Very. I still sometimes don't know if it's the right word.
So we'll talk about more on this topic, actually, shaping leaders across the region. Who was Ghenwa as a young woman? Who was you?
Dreamer.
Okay.
You just gave me goosebumps because you reminded me of something that I have experienced as a young child. I still remember my days at school when I was like in the first elementary school, either first or second. And I remember we were having like roundtable conversations as students, but it wasn't called roundtable conversations back then, right? Between the students and the teacher. I forgot what was the name, but we were having discussions. And by the time, my turn came, I went very silent because I wasn't even, present mentally in the classroom. I was daydreaming. And I remember my teacher saying, Ghenwa, out because you were daydreaming. So yes, you can call me a dreamer, but I think being a dreamer is what got me here. And it's going to get me where I want to be. So this is me in a nutshell, a dreamer who never loses hope, number one, and someone who is really adamant on, driving change where it's needed, because I know that we are operating in a very turbulent environment. Some people
Right.
call it, VUCA world, others call it BANI, others call it tuna, and then you have a new definition today or a new acronym called RUPT, RUPT. So I will say, it's a disruptive one. And my mission here is to ensure that, as I continue serving a society, I'm on a mission to ensure, where we can make leadership great again, why not?
That's wonderful. So before we actually move forward, I want to understand what is this human intelligence architect?
So names change, but the mission is still the same, right? And today with a lot of, AI invasion, right? And everybody is now speaking AI. Everybody is speaking artificial intelligence, robotics, technology, and so on. I felt that there is shadowing for the power of the human intelligence, which is your brain, right? Which is the brain, and then you have the brain of the brain of the heart, and the brain of the gut, right? And humans, as humans, we have three brains. So when your three brains get aligned, what happens is your power of human intelligence gets activated.
Right.
How many times we have been seated on something, doing something, for example, and then suddenly you say, "Oh, I feel something that I shouldn't be doing that," and what gets activated here is your gut, right? So the gut has a brain in your body, and then sometimes you're looking at numbers, but then you say, analytically speaking, I don't feel this is the right decision to go with that kind of investment. So what kind of brain is here in action? Is it the brain of your heart or the brain of your brain, right? So when these three brains in a nutshell align, the power of your human intelligence is activated. So where does the human sit today in an era that is, driven by the power of artificial intelligence versus human intelligence? So that's why my focus today is like, what can I do to really activate human intelligence to bring back, the confidence in the people that you are here because of you. And artificial intelligence is here is because of you. So please go back and think of the power of your very own human intelligence, because this is what's going to drive you as a human, to sustain an ecosystem where you are healthy, where you are happy, where you are, in sync with your own powers. And that's, the philosophy behind that title. Let me put it this way. Yeah.
Okay. And what actually fascinated you, or maybe inspired you to choose this particular topic? I know the field which you have chosen is intellectually very heavy.
Yeah.
It's psychology and then neuroscience, leadership behavior.
Yes.
So everything is involved in it.
So if I have to break this down into bits and pieces, Priyanka, I think my inspiration comes in from the fact that we are, God's preferred, perhaps, species, right? We have, we're humans. We are not driven by an instinct only. We are not driven by, what we call in Arabic, and sorry, I'm going to say it in Arabic, غريزة, right? And I think it's instinct if I have to translate it properly. We have a brain, and we are, aside from being perhaps God's preferred species, but we are, we have three brains in general, right? So if I am able to connect these three brains together, right, I am, an activist in this world where I can properly drive change. And if I am literally believing in these, or the elements that I have in me as a human, right, what kind of world I can create around me, right? So going back to your question, and if I have to simplify my answer and give your audience a straightforward one, we humans, we're created, and we are created in the most complex and simple way. By, people would say God, some others would say something else. I, as myself, I would say, I'm God created species, right? And because I am that, I am designed and I am architected in the best way possible. Meaning, let's say when my heart stops, usually surgeons, what they do is they take a vein out of your leg and plug it back. So you have spare parts inside you as a human, and that was the power of your creation. And that's why I think, if we really know the power in us, right, we are able to drive change. Let me add something here, right?
Please.
If you just hold your hands and if you believe in the power of energy, right? We humans have energy inside us. So, and that kind of energy is a healing energy, by the way, right? So if we just, think from a quantum perspective and we believe in the power that resides in us and sits in us, if we just hold our hands like this and close our eyes and believe, we will feel the energy frequency. Right? And that's the power of quantum particles inside you. And then that's how you as a human can also heal yourself. I'm not sure if you or your audience have tried it, but at some point, you have a stomach ache or your anxiety is kicking. What you do is when you put your hand like that, at some point your anxiety lessens. And when that lessens, it means you're healing yourself without even knowing. So that's the power in you. And that's why I'm inspired by humans.
Okay, so you are trying to say that it's all in here.
Yes.
That,
You
or
hold
maybe the thoughts.
you hold your world in your hand. That's me and how I believe in the power of humans. And that's why I activate for people to believe in the power in themselves so they can drive, a better world where they can also create, or make leadership great again.
Okay, tell me more about it. I mean, like how you do it.
So if I just have to reflect back, I've led teams, I've led projects, I've led across continents. And if I have to bring it back to business, when I lead people or when I am leading a project, the first thing usually that I do is I get introduced to the people that work with me. All right. And by saying getting introduced, it means understanding where they come from, how was their upbringing, where did they get educated, what is their belief system, and what is a non-negotiable for them, where can I stretch them, where is a strength, and where is an area that they don't like, me to come to. It's a censored area. And I also share the same. And when I do so, is I have, I'm creating something new out of the plenty in the project. And because I was able to touch into that human aspect with them, my projects go smoothly. My projects get deployed faster. My projects are sustainable, right? It means I was able to create an environment, a safe environment for them where they can thrive. And they can thrive because during my work with them, I also get to coach, guide, mentor. And I ask for reverse mentoring as well because I'm no close to a guru as well, right? So I believe in the power of reverse mentoring as well because they have things I don't have, right? So how do I bridge that knowledge between these two humans? And that's how I think, you create like an aura of an intelligence inside that bubble. And when you create that aura of intelligence or power bubble, let me call it a power bubble of intelligence because it's the sum of all the brains
Right.
working together. That's how you can create, an everlasting impact, an everlasting successful project, an everlasting, for example, a sustainable impact on the society and the people who work around you. My words are usually quite philosophical because I appreciate philosophy in life and I read a lot on philosophy. So please feel free to drill down because the more you ask questions, the more things will come up.
Okay. So I read that you have created the FAST model. This
Yes,
is FAST.
F.A.S.T.
Yeah. What is this all about?
So the story of the FAST model, which is now coming more to life. So 2026 is where I focus on that. So during my corporate life, which spans around 20 years now, I've always witnessed, observed, questioned, understood, analyzed, leadership behavior on the ground. And what drove that behavior? Sometimes it's a personal issue. Sometimes it is an anxiety, driven by anxiety. Sometimes it is, a conflict that hasn't been managed well. And then people, evolve in a way where it might not be in the right direction. And, because we live in an ever-evolving world, meaning we have witnessed, now today we speak the AI world or AI era. 5 years ago, we were in COVID. Before it was, the evolution of the industrial economy. Before that, it was World War II. So we are living in an ever-changing environment, and each time change comes in, people are not ready. And what happens is when people are not ready because they are overwhelmed with all of this, change and exchange that's happening around them, you as a human sometimes tend to lose the power of your focus because you
Right.
get, we live
We
in
get
a
distracted.
yes, you get distracted because of the constant disruption. And we are in an era where we enjoy scrolling, the 3 second scrolling, tuck, 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 tuck. So,
True.
so what's happening here? You are not training your brain to focus, right? Your brain is getting trained on just being passive. Yalla, yalla, yalla. Okay? So what happens here is you are weakening the power of your brain. And that's why sometimes meditation, prayers, reading books helps. How does it help you? And some writing, journaling. What happens from a neuroscience perspective is you are telling your brain, focus.
Okay.
You're telling your brain to completely disregard anything around and just to delve deeper into that specific zone, that specific moment, that specific experience. So when you train your brain, right, on doing this, or when you do this constantly, what you're doing is you're asking your brain and you're asking and you're forcing your brain to focus. And during my years of study, when I was also doing interviews, after I have observed people leaders' behaviors and entrepreneurs and so on, right? The outcome of the interviews that I have done across the private and public sector and across the leadership spectrum. The feedback that I have received after I have cleaned the data, one aspect was in order for you to be a strong leader and a leader, and not strong as in strong physically strong,
Mentally
but
and
mentally,
yeah,
even emotionally strong,
emotionally.
resilient enough, right? You need to stay focused. That's the first pillar of
Oh my
fast.
God, yeah, it's a very important
Yes.
thing you have
Then
raised. Exactly, right. It's
and then
true.
exactly because
Yeah.
when you lose focus, then it's like you're driving Emma, in your car, and you're having your Google Map on, but you're just roaming around yourself and you're not reaching a destination. Why? Because you're not focused. Right? So you just roam around yourself, and eventually nothing happens. So that's the power of focus. And that's F in fast. Then the second one comes in as a second pillar, which is A for adaptability. People call it agility. Some others, I don't know what they call it. I have, came to a realization after all of these interviews that I have also shared just now, right? That in order for you to stay, on track and on trend and able to maneuver through all of this change, disruption, and so on, right? If you are focused to an extent that you become very rigid, then you're no longer adaptable. And when you're no longer adaptable, you can't jump on the wave of change. Just like, Kodak lost business back in the years, right?
True.
So being rigid, focus is good, but extra focus makes you rigid. And when you're super rigid, you're no longer adaptable, so you're out of business.
So you're trying to say that you should be focused, but the
But
focus should not be that much, which makes you rigid for a change or maybe for a
exactly,
feedback.
exactly. Otherwise, if you are rigid as this cup, the moment you fall, you will break.
True.
Okay? So water takes the shape of this cup. Why? Because it's adaptable. But it doesn't lose its essence as H2O, so it's focused. Right? The third pillar now is S for, strategy. And it's not about just, papers, because today you always, I'm a strategic leader. What does that mean? Have you ever asked yourself? Okay, you're very strategic, you're very visionary, great. But what does that mean? And then when we delve deeper, it's more about how you think about your thinking. Meaning, I'm talking now on this podcast. Am I thinking about my words? Am I thinking about my thinking? Or I'm just operating from a, autopilot mode? Am I attending to your audience? Yes or no? What am I doing in that space? So now going back to business and corporates, as leaders, are we thinking about our thinking? Are we trying to solve tomorrow's problems with a yesterday's lens? Are we delving deeper into the root cause of the problem, or we're just,
Superficially.
superficially resolving? And I, myself, I always go root cause. Always, right? And that is S in FAST as strategy. Now, the last pillar is T for truth or trust, right? Today, you can never do business without trust. But
Absolutely.
what triggers trust is truth.
True.
Okay, so they both feed into each other, and that's how we circle today to the power of a psychologically safe environment in the business. What does psychological safety in business really mean? Right? We go back to the team dynamics. We go back to you as a human, as a leader, your upbringing. Are you driven by fear, or are you driven by suspense, or what really drives you as a leader, so you can drive yourself and lead yourself, then you lead your people and the team, and then you lead the business. And that is FAST in general. And that's the power of FAST in business. That's the power of FAST on a human level. Thank you for asking me this question.
Okay, no, I think this is very informative. Most of the time, most of the leaders, I think, they do these mistakes,
Yeah, we're
right?
bound to do mistakes. Yes,
Right.
it's normal.
Or maybe sometimes they're too much into the system or the process.
Yeah.
They forget to adapt, or maybe
Yes.
they stop foreseeing the new changes and the things, which
100%.
is
But why do you have to force change? That's the question. When there is trust and truth, it doesn't mean that you have to force it anymore, right? You respect people based on two things, or you believe in their power based on two things. You either trust me because you appreciate me, you understand that I'm doing the right thing. There's also the power of love, by the way, in teams. Respect is something, but love is also something else. And some people would say, "Oh, Ghenwa, you're naive." I'm like, call me naive, I'm fine with that. But if there is no love in the system, we become very transactional. And the moment we become transactional, we're no longer involved. And if we're no longer involved, we're losing purpose and we're losing passion. And if we're no longer, involved, thus losing passion and purpose, then what's happening to my well-being as an employee, and what's happening to the well-being of the organization, right? So, and that's where happiness eventually lands in business. So, going back to what you were saying, Priyanka, I think it's very important that trust and truth are primary pillars. And today we can see even at the World Economic Forum, they were talking that the 2026 is the year of trust and truth, because they have realized that it is lost.
okay. But according to you, what is the one psychological pattern you see repeating in leaders, and which is mostly globally, or I would say, let's focus on Middle East.
What is the can you just repeat that, Priyanka, again?
I want to understand that, which is one psychological pattern you see repeating in leaders.
I don't know if I can say it, but fear is the main driver of everything. Usually problems erupt, right? And then they calm down through a certain process and through a reason. There's a reason behind it. And it's fear. Fear of losing, fear of missing, fear of I'm not competent enough, fear of who am I in this disruption, fear of many things, right? And fear takes different shapes. That fear usually drives certain behaviors in humans. Some would become very fragile. And when you are a fragile leader, you break even quickly, you fall into burnout, and then you start blaming people. Other could be a fear that can cause overconfidence, and overconfidence can cause arrogance, and arrogance can break a system because you are creating a toxic culture inside the organization, right? And that's, because it's all driven by being overly confident when there is a loophole in you. and because it's driven by fear. So the patterns are different, and it's really impacted by your upbringing, your belief system as a human, and you and how you believe in yourself. Right? So if you're humble enough, you're able to reflect basically. But if you are away from being, a human that is humble and resilient, then this is where things go, they go viral. Yeah.
Okay, but most of the time we hear that leaders are mainly passionate.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but if they thrive on the factor of fear, then the passion will be missing.
I think this has a different leeway. So we're not saying leaders are bad to start with, right? Leaders are humans eventually, and humans have fear is a given across all humans.
Right.
So the question is, if that leader is passionate, what's driving his or her passion? Is
Okay.
it the passion for humans, the passion of being successful, the passion of being well known in the business? What's driving your passion? Do you want to make you are a change agent? Do you want to, do you want to create a legacy? What is driving your passion? Are you passionate about the business itself, the economy itself, the nature of the business? Passion is a very
Understood.
it's a one word. It's nice, but we need to understand the ecosystem around it. And as me myself, as human intelligence architect, let me put it this way. And again, that's not a position, but rather a connotation. I delve deeper usually into that aspect. So yes, leaders are passionate. It's lovely when we are passionate as leaders, right? Because we can drive good change in the world. But over passionism, usually what happens has an adverse impact as well. So less is more.
Okay, but don't you think that if we'll change that fear, change that, fear to passion, then the things will be different.
You can't change fear to passion. Fear sometimes fuses, like injects passion,
Okay.
right?
So you're trying to say fear will always be there.
Yes, and it's normal,
Okay.
right? You sometimes when you are driving, you are on autopilot, but there is fear that that might get triggered because somebody just crossed over your car. So fear is there, right? I have a passion for example, talking to humans because that's how I learn and that's how I share my knowledge and that's how I, also mark my existence in the world, right? So it's always different. We all have, a different approach to passion and fear and so on. So fear is a feeling that is available. It will continue to be there. As long as we are living species on Earth, it's going to be there. Passion is the same. Love is the same. Confidence is also the same, right? It fluctuates. It's like crypto. All of
Right.
these feelings are there, but they're, operating like a crypto. Yeah.
Okay, so nowadays a lot of changes are happening in the surroundings, and
Yes.
AI is the new boom. Everyone is talking about it, using it. It is now one of the integral part of your life.
It's the N.
Yes. So, do you think that the leaders are so AI is actually making leaders smarter or exposing how emotionally vulnerable they are?
Both.
Okay, how?
So tomorrow, it's all about you working with AI. So yes, it's gonna showcase how intelligent you are, and it's gonna expose you emotionally. Like, oh, I didn't think of this. Why did artificial intelligence think of it more than me or before me? So that's why I say, it's both in general. You have to be working with AI. It's a given today. It's non-negotiable. And it's how you use AI will determine your levels of intelligence. If you have heavy reliance on it, where you go into analysis paralysis from a brain perspective, brain power perspective, right? This is when you are tuning down your, your frequency as from a brain perspective, because khalas, you're just fully focused on using ChatGPT or artificial intelligence. But when you work with it in a way where you are, asking it the right questions, and that's why today you see a lot of, organizations training people on how to ask questions, how to become curious, how to, to really start a conversation and so on. And where does this come from? From what? Coaching. Because as a coach myself as well, right, I ask questions. I'm trained to ask questions. And the way I ask questions are neuroscience based, because my coaching is based on neuroscience anyways. So I'm a brain-based certified coach, right? So I ask questions that are very neural, that are very centered on, how we think about our thinking. Why am I thinking in this way? How do I, like what kind of lens I am operating from? Why am I thinking like this? What's triggering that? What's the environment around me, looking like, and how is it influencing, and so on. So as a coach, usually these are the kind of questions. We start obviously with the GROW model, and then there are multiple coaching models, right? So back to your question, and to give you a straightforward one, yes, we will be working with AI all the time. And will it expose us emotionally? Yes, it will. And everything is recorded, so they're also collecting data on you.
True. Yeah, that's right.
So whether you are
So we are giving all the information to them
for free.
for free.
Actually, you're paying.
Yeah. We are paying happily. Yes, true. Okay. So, but what is the most dangerous leadership behavior that companies keep rewarding, according to you, in terms of human architect intelligence? What do you think?
A company A will hire A+ employees. A company B will hire C employees. That's math. And what dictates the category of the company are the leaders that are in positions. So as a leader, do I hire people smarter than me? Do they put me in a situation where I have to really scratch my brain and think? Or they just are the yes people? So for me, if you're asking me, and I have to give you a straightforward answer, if there is yes people in my team, then I'm a weak leader, right? And sometimes, we reward these leaders because they are able to execute what I want them to execute, and done. So I can stay in that position. And that's, I think, where toxicity in the corporate place is born, and it spreads. Yeah.
Nice. No, I think this answer of yours actually give me a thinking.
I want to know.
Yeah. You are right. In fact, like either hire the people smarter than you and take a step back and just let them work the way you want and see the company grow
Yes.
through them.
Yes.
Or just keep on
Lashing.
every single day, every single minute.
Yes.
And then again, the company will remain at the same place.
Exactly. I mean, today, if we look at corporates, Priyanka, we just, we meet a lot of people to say, oh, the culture is not helping. But why? Let me see what's inside your culture. What is your GBT, right? How does the culture operate in your ecosystem? Tell me more. What's your code? And then sometimes you will see that you have talented people who have reached a plateau, but they speak their brain, they speak their, they have ethics, they share. And they believe in the power of transparency, and they believe in the power of authenticity. And these people, sometimes they don't grow because they're just sharing what's happening on the ground. And then you will find other people who are, not very visible, not very, for example, big on their brands or inside the business, but they operate strategically, and then suddenly they become leaders of those people. knowing that they're not better than them from a performance perspective, leadership perspective, and all of these, but they are there. The question is why? What happened? Where did we go wrong or where did we go right? And what happens to these talented people? Eventually they will leave. That's how the story goes usually.
But doctor, don't you think there could be two type of scenarios? Okay. Scenario A, where the leader want them to grow.
Yes.
Keep on asking, come up with the ideas, think out of the box, solve the problem, but they don't.
As people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then scenario B is there, where people really have great ideas,
Yes.
but when they share, leader doesn't listen.
Yes.
I think in both the cases, disaster is going to happen.
100%.
Right?
Eventually it will go south if we don't work on ourselves properly. Back to your scenario A and B, if we don't attend to them carefully, what will happen to the business?
But in scenario A, leader wants them to grow, wants them to learn, wants them to take the initiative, take the ownership, and do the things. But the people, they are not doing it.
Fair. Then what will happen to the leader? Eventually, he or she will have to handle the lack of performance.
Right.
And then you go into burnout because these people, perhaps they're just there on your team and you can't move them at that stage. So eventually, you're also falling into burnout as a leader.
Right.
So the dynamics are different. So there are very good people and there are really very good people in the business. But good and good, plus and plus what will happen, plus and minus what will happen. Yeah.
Okay.
We go back to math. A plus, B, C.
No. I understand what you're trying to say here. Okay. So you are an Arab woman.
Yes.
Okay.
Proudly.
Leading reason with wide transformation work. Okay. What has been your most defining challenge as a woman in leadership?
Every day is a challenge to start with, and every day is an opportunity. It depends which lens you're having. And for me, I've always, yes, I go through challenges a lot, and I get emotional about it. I'm a human. I cry sometimes. I get angry. But then it takes me around 24 hours to 48 hours to say, that's my opportunity. Right? Leadership challenges, if I can tell you, perhaps it could be having a big mouth sometimes. I don't filter. That was one of the downsides of me as Ghenwa, but I've taken a promise in my life that I will always perhaps, go and say what is right, what will serve tomorrow, not today.
Right.
That's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Okay. So what is one mindset women must unlearn to truly rise?
What is one mindset that women have to unlearn to
Truly rise, if they really want to rise.
to rise again? Women are very strong human beings, by the way. And we have, the power of resilience. If you have the ability to get pregnant 9 months and to hold a human inside you and to witness body changes and body shapes and going through all of these
And the birth.
hormonal turbulences, that is even before birth. And then witness the process and experience the process of delivering a baby, right? And then raising that baby, that is resilience at best, right? So as a woman, I can always say believe in the power of in yourself or the power in you, because that power is your resilience. So trust your resilience strategy, your hormone. It's a hormone in you. It's a naturally, embedded there. Yeah.
You're speaking my mind now. This is what I always say.
Yeah.
You just have to believe in yourself.
Yes. The power in you.
Yeah.
What's
if you
the
think
power
that
in
you
you?
can't do it, then you cannot do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes people ask, what's the power in you, Ghenwa? And I will always say it's resilience, because it is what got me here.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. It
You
is what.
decided that is why you were here.
Yes.
Okay, so you have coached executives for nearly 2 decades. What is the pattern that almost every leader is blind to?
I've coached executives 2 decades less because 2 decades is when I started my journey. But I've always, been around youth as well, and I've coached youth. Um, I think as a pattern, so what happens is as we grow, even from an age perspective, we become quite rigid. Mm? And so that's why they say, when your grandma says something or when your grandpa says something, just say yes because they're not going to change. Right? It's too hard for them to change. So change is inevitable. But as you grow, you start saying, "Khalas." The word is like, I will not change. I will not digest. I will. But then you have, before you go into that stage, obviously you're leading teams and organizations. And sometimes what happens, ego comes in and you become blind, right? And sometimes you go on autopilot as a leader and you start re-engineering things where the problem is different and what you're doing is no longer serving the problem. So it is different. There's not one pattern, honestly, as a behavior. Eventually, there are multiple things. So you either get sometimes, go on autopilot, your blind spot is activated, what you're doing no longer serves. What you are doing is you are no longer listening to your people. You believe that what you think is right, so it's my way or the highway. And sometimes you have leaders who break that norm to say, you know what? I'm going to step from this position as a CEO and I want you all to be in my position, and tell me what is right. And that's, the power of active listening as a leader. So when I really work with my clients, I always ask what has been discussed in a meeting. What have you heard? And sometimes they did not hear anything, because the voice in my brain is the voice that I want everybody to hear. And I'm faulty as well as a human. That's a humanish thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's correct. Like, if you know that you're making mistakes, but you are ready to correct those mistakes, you're ready to take the feedbacks,
Yes.
everything changes, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. So I always advocate listen and reiterate what you have listened to understand that, to make sure that you have understood what has been spoken. And then to assess on a scale from 1 to 10, was your listening on point, yes or no?
True. Most of the time, people just listen for the sake of listening.
Yes.
Hearing, I would say, not even listening.
To respond.
Yeah.
To respond and not, equalize it internally and rationalize it internally. Like, I just want to give you an answer.
So, Doctor, what legacy you want to leave behind with your frameworks like FAST, Culture, GPT, and the talent metrics? You have written a book as well. Thank you so
Yes.
much for this book, actually.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
It is a co-authored book, of course. And the legacy I want to leave behind is, if I look at my grandparents and so on, I am the legacy they left behind, right? So the way I think, my brain power, my ability to be an active agent in the world, that's the legacy that they have, left behind. I have been trained by them. I have witnessed them. I have learned from them. I've worked with so many people. They also had their impact on me. So if you ask me what is the legacy I leave behind, it's someone who would say, oh, I've heard about FAST because, this person created it back in the, early 20 or mid 20,000s, for example. Right? And that model has helped me, for example, lead an organization or a nation or an institution. So I'm not here to create a legacy for me, but I'm here to create a legacy for others so they can continue on it the way my ancestors and my grandparents left me as a legacy to this world.
Lovely.
Thank you.
And what is the message which you would like to leave through this channel through this platform for the young women?
You are your own spine. Trust that spine. That's it.
That's nice. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming and sharing your insights. I think what you have shared about the human intelligence, culture GPT, talent matrix, I think they all are
And
incredible.
fast.
Yes, and fast. Yes.
Yes.
And I'm
It's all
definitely
in the
going to read this book.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, and I will be looking forward to like seek your insights in terms of if there is a 2.0, what would that be like?
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priyanka. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.